Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host, Chawanne Burns. In today's episode, we are going to discuss the economy. It's a few things that I want to go over. First of all, we want to talk about the auto industry and what's going on with that. It looks like some of auto plants are closing down due to sales decline. One is Stellantis, which is also known as Chrysler, if you guys didn't know that. So Fiat Chrysler is now called Stellantis. It was bought out by some business people overseas. But anyway, they're closing down a few plants, and not necessarily closing down all the entire plants, but some of the shifts, they went down to, or scaled down to, one shift. Usually on the auto plant, they're working 3 shifts, but they had a 21% sales decline at Stellantis. So they're facing some trouble. Also, Ford had a massive recall on some of their vehicles, and GM is proposing a layoff at one of their plants in Kentucky because they're trying to switch over. Anyway, we'll discuss that. Also, we're going to discuss Target. Target, in this, you guys, I searched it on the news. It's not even in the news. I found this one small newspaper, I guess, media outlet, and they reported that Target is planning to close 9 stores over on the West Coast. 4 of those stores are located in California due to theft. Now, we already know last week they came out with this FBI report saying the crime is down. And so the last 2 reports we've seen, either they're not reporting the crime or they're not reporting this particular type of crime. I'm really unclear on why the FBI is saying the crime is down. We know the crime is up with illegal immigrants. We could say that. Crime is down with Americans. Maybe that's what they're trying to say. But anyway, the FBI report is saying something differently than what we're seeing. I mean, statistically, we could go by statistics, but what data are they missing? Because this is really unreal to me, how they're reporting one thing and the economy and theft or crime, we're seeing something totally different. Anywho, so we'll discuss that. Also, we're going to talk about Kamala Harris. Cenk, I think his name is Cenk, Ungyar. He was on Piers Morgan, and he was kind of unhinged, talking about Donald Trump. Once again, this is one of, I guess, extreme supporters of Kamala Harris. Cenk or however you pronounce his name. I don't think he necessarily supports Biden, but he's so I guess he's so enraged and he hates Donald Trump so much. It caused him to go pretty crazy during this interview, and it looks very bad on him. And he's been like that. I don't know if it's like a cultural thing, but he's displayed this same anger when he was on Piers Morgan with Candace Owens. Just a total unhinged. When you're talking, you present facts to him, he just goes off the deep end because it's associated with Donald Trump. It's really quite odd to me, where a person will just fly off the handle because you're presenting some type of facts to them, and they just enrages them. Anyway, that's a symptom or a syndrome people are suffering across the nation. So we'll discuss that as well. So you guys stay tuned for another episode.
Something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad. Looks a little something like this. Looks a little bit like I can't miss. Hey, this is what you call a bad. What? This is what you call a bad.
That's right.
I don't know why they did that. Also put in the chat, let me know that you could hear like the intro I just played. I just want to make sure the sound is coming through. Anywho, so we're going to get started. I'm not going to keep you guys on long because I want to, you know, my kids is coming home. I'm not going to keep you all long because my kids is coming home. And then I might stream the debate tonight. It all depends on if I can get my kids to cooperate with me correctly. Okay, so this first story I just want to share with you, and this is about Target. Target is expected to close 9 stores, and they're citing because of retail theft. Okay, it says massive Target store closing in September, and they're starting. Well, they already started closing stores on the 28th, September the 28th. And it's saying that in this article, now this article is from El Adelantado. Okay, I'm not a Spanish speaker, but I'm assuming that I pronounced that right. It says, as the retail landscape continues to shift, another well-known brand is facing tough decisions. Target, in clothes that been a go-to for everything but home goods, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and they're saying this fall they are expecting to close several stores. They are citing, according to Target, the main reason for these closures is organized retail thefts. Even with extra security guards and new theft prevention tools, the company says the crime levels in these locations are just too high. They're too damn high. Okay, the crime level. And if we look, do you see the affected stores located in the big cities across California, Washington, Oregon, and New York? Red flag. What can we say? What do these states have in common? They just let the criminals go. That's one thing they have in common. California has the $950, I guess, limit. So, of course, you could steal a whole bunch of stuff from Target if your limit is $950 without what? Getting a bond or going before the court. I could just keep on doing that and I would never get arrested. Okay, where these crimes issues have been especially bad, it's not just about theft. Keeping these stores running has become too expensive as sales drop and safety concerns grow. Yeah, it's not about theft. Okay, that's one part of that. But why would I want to go to a store that looks like, let me just share this with you, that looks like this, you guys? This is a Target. This is East Palo Alto store. They're closing Monday. The store is empty now. We could say I'm pretty sure they shuffled all the material to the other store, but it's closing down. But why would I want to go to that particular store if theft is high and crime is high? Because I'd be wondering, well, these thieves might steal from me. And I'm pretty sure you don't have the items that I'm looking for. It's not a well-stocked store, or everything is locked up, okay? Everything is locked up in cages, and I have to call somebody, can I get this bottle of shampoo? So I could just read the ingredients. So why would you want to go to that store? Now back to the article. It says, how do local customers feel about it? People living near the closure stores aren't happy. Of course, they're not happy because they got to travel further to get the necessity items for their day-to-day, to live comfortably. Does Target sell necessity items? They do sell groceries, laundry detergent, diapers, formula, stuff like that. Then they sell clothes and stuff. All these things are not necessity, but it's basically a convenience store. So now you're being inconvenient because you got to travel further to get to one of these stores. Or you got to go to, I guess, probably some mom and pop shop. That's if they have a mom and pop shop in existence anymore in these areas, because the mom and pop shops, they were suffering a lot of retail theft as well. Okay. And it says it's a busy spot at Ravenswood Shopping Center where many residents, especially the local Hispanic community, rely on Target for everything from groceries to pharmacy services. And this store is set to close September the 28th. And this have left many locals upset. And it says Antonio Lopez, the mayor of East Palo Alto, admitted that the store closure will hit the community hard. He mentioned that the city is trying to find a replacement store that can offer similar services like pharmacy, but it's not an easy fix. Why would I want to open a business there? This is why the government, and this is why California is probably one of the worst places to live. The community is going to depend on the government to provide these services if they can't get them. Or and we're talking about communism, right? Take that out. You have the community also will just move. Then you're going to have a deserted town or deserted city. Why would I want to stay at a place that doesn't offer the type of services that I need? I don't want to stay there. And especially if it's high crime. So that's one of the reasons why. And they said, what happens to the pharmacy? The closure is a big inconvenience. And they said the CVS will be moving to another place. So these are all the stores that's closing. East Palo Alto, which is the store that was in the video, that was closing September the 28th. San Francisco, California. Isn't that your girl's town, Kamala Harris' town? They're closing October the 21st. And that San Francisco is one when they do have a black woman mayor there, and they said the crime is horrible in San Francisco. Oakland, California. Isn't that where they had that Asian mayor there, which I think she's being recalled because of the crime? They're recalling her. And she's under investigation, right? So these are pretty Democrat-ran cities, and they're closing. Pittsburgh, California, never heard of it, but they're closing October the 21st. Seattle, Washington, they have 2 stores that's closing in Seattle. We know Seattle is a very liberal city, And lo and behold, Portland, Oregon. Who would have thought? Who would have thunk Portland would be on this list? It's 3 of them. And these stores will officially close by October the 21st. And they said that Target still is like a powerhouse. They still have about 1,900 stores open across the U.S. But they're saying these stores serve a vital resource for shopping and pharmacy. Local leaders are working for solutions, but closure reflects the growing challenge for retailers dealing with incident thefts. They're not only dealing with incident theft, not only with, the community or people coming in to steal. Also, they have problems with their own employees stealing. That's, and Walmart said they're facing that same challenge, trying to curtail the retail theft. But they said crime is going down. I don't know about theft. I don't know about theft. Wouldn't that be included in your crime report? I guess. But they said crime is down. And I'm saying the FBI. FBI is claiming that the crime is down. Let me get to some of your comments. Justin Thompson is in the house. What is good? It's always great to see you. Celeste Hodges, hello from Texas. Gary Williams is in the building. LA, California. Blessings, Chawanne. And hello, everyone. Greetings to Larry Huddleston, far west side of Fort Worth, Texas. Justin Thompson said TDS is real. Yes, it is. Great channel. Thank you, Michael Tristano. I believe I pronounced your name right. Noble Young is in the building. What is good? Wild Man Actual. Pittsburgh, California is high crime like Oakland. Okay. See, I don't know. I didn't look it up on the map, so I don't know where Pittsburgh lies on the map where, in California. So I don't know where is that. Justin Thompson said Trump is going to need RFK to start a therapy department for everyone that has Trump derangement syndrome in November when he wins. You guys remember when Trump won in 2016? And let me just full disclosure, I did not vote for Trump in 2016. But remember, the people that were crazy. I had just some random guy that came up to me, and he was, I just assumed he was gay, but he was literally crying. And he was like, what are we going to do? Blah, 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 blah. It was like, we're going to survive. They act like Trump was like some alien. It was an alien takeover. We're going to survive. Then you had Charlize Theron on Capitol Hill with her bald head, makeup streaming for her face, screaming out off the top of her lungs on, I think, the day that they inaugurated him. There were a bunch of protests. Anyway, it was really crazy. It really, really crazy. And people seem to forget how extreme and they went off the rockers with Donald Trump. It was a really crazy thing to see in the media. Okay, so let's get to talk about Chrysler and the other auto industries. Now, I have my own perspective of things. I believe the new Green Deal, which is a mandate pushed forward by Donald Trump, I don't know if it has some inkling to do with Barack Obama, but I know they had some talks about it. But I think Biden coined the phrase the new Green Deal. And in this new Green Deal, it had these EV mandates. Now, these EV mandates is very aggressive. It wants all cars that's being sold to be electric. Okay. All cars that's sold by 2035 must be electric. That's including trucking, and your regular day-to-day vehicles. Okay, commercial vehicles and regular vehicles. Okay, EV. And they said 2035. So now you have all these plants trying to switch over to this mandate to prepare so they won't get like blindsided. Now, we could say, I believe Ford and GM, they've already been researching long before this mandate. Back in 2007 or 2008, I believe GM, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong. I believe GM came out with their first electric vehicle, and that was the Volt. So they've had plenty of time to research. However, Chrysler did not dedicate none of their time to research in electrical vehicles. So their vehicles are subpar if you compare them to other vehicle makers like GM and Ford. So in Ford was the only one that did not take a buyout from the government. Remember, it was a big thing to do. Barack Obama gave the auto companies bailout money, and Ford was the only person or the only company that did not take the bailout money, and they remained strong, steady. They didn't shoot up like selling vehicles out the wazoo, but they've been pretty consistent in their sales and in their research in electric vehicles and just their cars, period. Okay. And you could see this if you pull up their sales report, and we'll get into that. Okay. I do want to share with you now, speaking on Chrysler. Now, Chrysler is, because of this vehicle mandate, Chrysler is laying off people because they're not selling their vehicles. Okay. They're not selling their vehicles because this EV mandate. And they made this vehicle, and this vehicle is, and I'm saying this, but they have several EV vehicles or offerings, and they're not selling. Even their regular gas powered vehicles are not selling either. So they're laying off people. And Shawn Fain, the president of UAW, is mad as hell about it. Well, Shawn Fain, this is what you get, okay? This is what you get. You can't, let me just make sure you could see this. You can't require a company to keep on employees if their sales are down. Somebody got to get cut. So Shawn Fain, mad as hell, he sends a warning to Stellantis in his State of the Union address, because he's warning them, if you lay us off, we're going to go on strike. If you don't open these plants back up, we're going to go on strike. Well, you don't have the upper hand, Shawn. You guys put in the chat, let me know if I'm going in the wrong direction. My sales are suffering at my company, so I got to send out a notice. We got to do some cuts until sales increases. But we see a bleak future. We got to make some changes. We don't want to be here anyway. And we got these mandates. So our hands is tied. So for us to survive, we got to make some cuts. We have to make some cuts. This is Shawn Fain. Well, this was posted on Fox too.
Yeah, during this 1 hour.
You guys make sure you can hear this video, okay? Put in the chat. I want to make sure you can hear it.
State of the Union address, he's doubling down on threats that he's been making for weeks now. These threats specifically directed at Stellantis. He says they're simply not honoring their contract, and he says he and his membership are willing to hit the picket lines once again if they don't honor it. Shawn Fain has been in charge of the United Auto Workers for 18 months, and almost immediately he found himself up against Detroit automakers GM, Ford, and Stellantis.
What started as a new way of bargaining at the Big Three has become an entire new approach to contract fights across our union.
He highlighted everything from the effectiveness of the stand-up strike.
Across all three of the companies combined, offers increased by 93% over the course of our stand-up strike.
To securing new union members in the South with VW and other non-traditional automakers. Fain also highlighted jobs as the industry transitions to new fuel sources as well.
Thanks to the massive federal investments from the Biden-Harris administration, there are dozens of EV battery plants under construction and built around this country. This is the future of the auto industry. And if we want to keep the auto industry from being a race to the bottom with workers making poverty wages in dangerous conditions, then those jobs must be UAW jobs.
He says there is job security even as the auto sales slump.
Every day that these companies make cars is a day they make profit. They need these plants running all the time. And these companies are not invincible.
Fain also looked to the future, specifically the tension with Stellantis, which he claims is not honoring its contract when it comes to closing a plant in Illinois and no longer producing the Dodge Durango in Detroit.
Our response to his plan is simple, and it's 2 words. Hell no.
Yeah, during his State of the Union address, he also extended an invitation to all.
What I was getting at before I muted myself, he sounds really unintelligent. Shawn Fain says every time the car industry or every time the automaker makes a car, they make a profit. That doesn't make any sense, Shawn. It doesn't make any sense. Every time they make a car, they're in a deficit. It's called cost of goods sold. Okay, you have to sell the car before you make a profit. Number one. Number two, we know Shawn Fain, he actually endorsed Kamala Harris. Okay, Kamala Harris policies is the very reason why the auto industry, and I could say Kamala Harris, it's actually Biden, because Biden created this new green energy deal. But she's under is Biden-Harris economic plan, or I guess environmental plan. They wanted zero emissions. So to achieve these zero emissions, they have to have cars, electric vehicle cars. Everything sold by 2035 must be electric. Okay. So I know this is insider information. I know that when they supply a car to a dealership, the dealership puts in orders like maybe 50 to 100 cars at a time. My husband told me they're not doing that no more. They're ordering 2 to 4 cars at a time. They're literally ordering 2 cars to 4 cars at a time. A whole dealership. That's how bad it is. They're not selling any cars. And we'll go through the job report, but they're not selling the cars. It's like, remember Chris Rock when he went into the store and he said, how much is it for one rib? That's how the car industry is acting. They acting like they just skim. Oh, we just want one car because people are not ordering cars. So you have that problem. So sales decline. Then you face another problem. Electric vehicles does not require the manpower as
union
gas
members to attend a
power
rally.
vehicles. They don't require it. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. So say, for instance, it takes 10 people to make a regular gas powered vehicle. With electric vehicle, it only takes 5 people. So where are those workers going to go? They're going to be laid off. So one, we're not selling vehicles, sales decline. And then number 2, we're switching over everything to electric vehicles. Labor decline. We don't need it. And then how can you threaten a company? If I own a company and I'm selling stuff and my sales decline, of course, the first thing I'm going to look to see where I can make cuts at. And usually labor is expensive. So I'm going to make cuts at labor. You can't skimp on the parts because, you skip on the quality. But I'm making, if I got a 21% decline, because that's what they had in the last quarter, we need to cut 21% of our labor. So Chrysler is currently going through these challenges, not only because of this policy of Biden and Harris policies, but because, well, we can say Biden-Harris policies because they caused the economy to decline. But then the electric vehicle is too expensive for people to afford. Okay. Sean Fain sounds really ridiculous, though. It seems like he's never looked at profit margins before. And for him to say this unintelligent thing, every time they make a car, they make a profit, it tells me that he really doesn't know what's going on. And I'm surprised they actually elected him as the UAW president. And I believe he was once the plant manager before. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys put in the chat. I thought he was. Anyway, this is the quarter report. This is the quarter report for Stellantis. And I just want to point out a couple of things. Now, these are all the models under the Jeep brand, and you see declines across the board. They're comparing current quarter two sales to prior year quarter two sales, okay? 20 Compass, 21% decline. Wrangler, 17%. Gladiator, 14%. Cherokee, they're talking about deleting the Cherokee brand, and that's their best brand. That is their the number one brand. But I guess they're declining, sales. The regular Cherokee is 84% decline. Grand Cherokee, 26% decline. Renegade, don't know. I think that's this vehicle costs about $100,000, I think, the Renegade, but it's a 69% decline. They only sold 1,500 in the quarter. This has cost the United States, you guys. You got all these people, they could drive, and they only sold 1,500 of those cars. But, it's a high-end car. Wagoneer. Wagoneer is up 107%, probably because my husband says, now they in their contract, they're able to get their lease under their payroll. And it's an inexpensive car, but it's big. To me, it's ugly. But a lot of their employees are getting the Wagoneer. So that's probably why that's 107%. Grand Wagoneer is up 20%. So the Wagoneer brand, they're up. But overall on the Jeep brand is 19%. So I believe at one point they were talking about selling off the different brands. Now look at Ram. Ram has the 23% decline. Ram, they're talking about not making that Ram truck anymore. I guess because they're not making EV vehicles, but they're not. That was one of their best selling cars too, but they're talking about not making that no more. The ProMaster van, that's the one, the like if you those box trucks, that's one of those trucks. So it's 24% decline, and then they put ProMaster City 100% decline. But then you got the Chrysler 200 and 300. I don't know. I didn't think they was making those cars anymore, but they actually put it on here. Pacifica, 16%. And then the Dodge brand, the Darts, the Viper, Hornets, Chargers, Challenger. The Hornet is new, so they didn't put the numbers in there, but it looks like they have increased this year. But everything else, overall, 17% decline. The Fiat brand, Fiat is actually selling, even though they don't sell that many cars. It's 119% increase. And the Alfa Romeo, I don't know where I was going with this word, Romeo. It's a 8% increase. And I guess they got a new line on that. So, and then the volume change, you get to the volume change, very significant decline in the Cherokee current year and prior year. You know, prior years, if you look at the Cherokee, they said they sold 19,000 units. Current year so far is 2,100. But I don't know if they're promoting the Cherokee. I really don't. Because, you know, when you go into the dealership, they're going to show you those electric vehicle Cherokees. And I guess maybe this is under that. Maybe that's what I'm looking at. I didn't read the text. I just skimmed through. So maybe that's under that. But overall, year-to-date sales, a total decline in every single section besides the Fiat brand. Okay. Every brand, total sales decline. I think we could attribute that to the economy. One, this is Biden-Harris economy. And next, we could attribute this to these regulations that we have. Okay. You want an electric vehicle. I already said Chrysler, they didn't put no research and development. They wasn't really looking into that. They had overseas people that took, I think they changed hands about two to three times. But they didn't invest any of their money into research into electric vehicles. So they didn't even plan ahead that the legislation was going this way. Contrast to Ford. If you look at Ford numbers, they got this quarter two final sales. They said best-selling F-Series vans lead in quarter two. Hybrids grow to 56%. EVs up by 61%. Okay. They said Ford remains America's number one truck seller, led by best-selling F-Series and strong gains of Maverick, American most affordable pickup. Chrysler does not make affordable cars. That's another problem with Chrysler. I told you we got an EV vehicle. It's a hybrid. The shit costs $60,000. Like, what am I paying $60,000 for? You could buy a house in Detroit for $60,000. You could buy a whole house. In Detroit, you probably could buy a couple of them. You got to fix them up, but come on now. And I just wanted to highlight the fourth quarter truck sales. And you could see it's an increase for the F-150. This blue, the dark blue, is quarter two. So you look at it. Increase 2022, 2023, 2024. And Ford has done good. Whoever's managing Ford, I don't know who's over the Ford, the CEO. They've always been conservative in the things that they do, and they've always invested a lot of money into their research. Okay, they don't do crazy stuff. You know, they stick to what they know. They invest or research into what they don't know, and they take their time when they bring a new product to market. And I think it just tells about their leadership. Now, the Ford people manages, I think they're over the Lions. Whoever has that, they're doing a horrible job. A lot of people think they should sell the Lions, but whoever is over the Ford actually auto industry, they're doing a good job. But the Lions, a lot of people don't like the Ford family dipping in the Lions day to day. They said they actually ruined the franchise. Now, I'm just telling you what they've said in the past because the Lions have been losing, or they're winning this year and last year, but they make wrong decisions. Anyway, that has nothing to do with this, but they're pretty good about the Maverick brand is the hybrid brand. So they're pretty good about doing their research and bringing a product to market. And, you know, they hold most of the market share in the auto industry in the U.S. Okay. So, and they're saying it's a rapid growth. They talk about how their customer service and all that stuff. Only thing bad about Ford does sometimes, and I think that's with all auto industries, because they have a massive recall. I believe, let me see, where is that at? I thought they were a massive recall. Yeah. No, GM. GM has a massive recall. GM has a massive recall over 590,000 vehicles. Or Ford and GM. Over 590,000 vehicles. So that's going to impact them. Whatever it is. GM is expecting to lay off 680 workers. Okay. 680 people, because they're trying to shift the plant, this Fairfax plant. They're shifting production to this EV vehicle. So they're saying it's going to be like a temporary layoff until mid of next year. So that's what's going on at the car industry. And you still have Shawn Fain threatening Chrysler if you don't. You guys, let me backtrack. Another reasons why Shawn Fain is threatening Chrysler is because they didn't open up this Belvedere plant. In this Belvedere plant, I guess they were supposed to have, you know, so many workers, and it's supposed to launch in 2025. But they had to push it back because we are not selling vehicles. I showed you the sales decline. So Chrysler is in trouble. But Shawn Fain is like not listening to that. He's still threatening to strike. But you know, it's not like a dictatorship. He can't just say, oh, we're going to go on strike. Each individual plant has to vote whether or not they go on strike. And they're not going to go on strike because they're already laid off. So you telling me I want to go on strike and not get my unemployment doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. So I think Shawn Fain is really delusional. You guys put it in chat. Let me know what you think. Let me just get to Carefree says, Chawanne, the reason nobody's buying Chrysler, Dodge, Stellantis car vehicles because starting in 2011, they had intentionally incorporated design flaws in their vehicles. Their minivans have weak trannies. I don't think they incorporated design flaws in their vehicles unless you're part of that design thing. I think their product quality, their quality control is messed up. Chrysler has, and this is just insider information. I already explained, my husband's been working for Chrysler for about 26 years now. And they have a problem with employees. Their employees, what do you call it when you have employee, their culture, employee culture is a problem. And it doesn't start with the people on the floor. It starts at the top. So the people that they really promote is within, but they have bad culture. Like, just for example, the plant that my husband works at, the plant manager, he said something's wrong with him. You know, like, I don't want to give you too much information, but he does things that's not, you know, not keeping the people like, hey, this is Chrysler. We got the best brand. We need to be proud of the brand. Their culture, their mindset is messed up about Chrysler, the actual people that work there. So they spit out low quality product. And that, when they go do the parts inspections, even when they had that problem with the Jeep, and Jeep is their best brand, I guess, best built brand. And they was having problem with, not with the tranny, but the engine. I think they didn't bolt the engine upright. They had a massive recall on that. So, you know, their employee culture is pretty messed up. And I guess I agree with you. I don't know if I would say intentionally incorporated design flaws. I would say they are not, their quality control is messed up. I don't know if you intentionally incorporate a design flaw so you can have a bunch of recalls. That doesn't make any sense to me. Justin Thompson has said, what will we do if our enemies attack the electric grid if everything is EV? That's another thing. We don't have enough grid or power to simulate all electric vehicles. I hear Japan is really different. You know, I don't think they have gas power vehicles. If they do, it's very few. But, you know, they have like the bullet train and all that stuff. So, and people walk everywhere in Japan. So maybe I could see us maybe getting to that one day, but that's like maybe in 2050. You know, we probably be dead by then. We probably be dead by the time they get to that part. I love my ad block. What is going on? That way, the government can dictate wherever you could travel freely. No, my husband doesn't have a YouTube channel. Then you have the fuse box that fries itself and have relays that are not removable, cost $600 BKA. As TIPM in all models is ridiculous, the lack of quality. Yeah, I know they suffer. Quality is a problem. What is good, Kennard the DJ? Carefree. Then you have the flywheel that is flexible. Why in the God's name would you put a flywheel in a flex? Carefree, are you a mechanic or you work in the auto industry? Or you're just a car enthusiast? As far as Ford is concerned, stay away from all Ecotech engines. They don't put enough flaws in the technology to guarantee you don't get past 120,000 miles. Oh, that is something good to know. Good to know. Not in Chrysler. I'm just reading Carefree's. Carefree is saying there is a whole police department that got rid of their new Trackhawks because the coolant filter box issue. They continue to lose the flawed technology 15 years later. Yeah. It sounds like they are having staff issues or possibly high turnover rates. Staffing, so the union is there to protect your job. So say, for instance, they was trying to fire you because you took a day off. You got some PTO. Or you got into some type of confrontation on the job and your boss is giving you a bunch of crap. Or your boss is telling you how to work and you shouldn't work. That's what the union is there for. However, sometimes the union is used in a way that they're not supposed to use the union as. Like, oh, I'm going to smoke on my job. I'm going to drink on the job. So the union will actually step in and save this guy's job. They say, oh, you know, he could do some counseling. But if you really think about it, if you're operating a crane or doing some type of dangerous job, well, I think all plant jobs can be dangerous if you make it. Like if you even racking parts, you could drop a part on somebody or on yourself. And if you're inebriated, that's a danger to that. So, but the union, they will save that person's job. Like I said, my husband, he's worked for Chrysler for 26 years. Now he's a union official. And he said sometimes he feels as if he don't want to save the person's job. They really deserve to get fired. But he goes to bat with them and, you know, against labor and management and will actually save this person's job. So that's a problem that they have. And so people don't actually, the actual turnover. I think they do have a high turnover, not necessarily Chrysler, at these tier 3 plants or tier 2 plants. But one of the problems is, if you've been working for a while, it's FMLA, you could tap into that. It's just a whole gamut of problems. Working in the auto industry, period. I think it's like that, not only at Chrysler, but GM and Ford. I think their culture, I don't know how their culture is at GM or Ford, but I know Chrysler culture is messed up. It's really messed up. I don't even think they believe in what they selling. And I think it has to do mainly with Chrysler because they've changed leadership over, a few iterations since me and my husband's been married or just dating, and we've been together for about 14, 15 years now. So anyway, I thank you, Justin. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe button. Okay, that's it for the boring stuff. You guys, like I said, put in the chat. Let me know what you think. I'm looking at the time. I'm going to go to Piers Morgan. Okay. Piers Morgan had a Cenk, I think his name is pronounced Cenk, UNGAR on vice president flip-flopping. That's what this title is called. And Cenk was really unhinged in this whole entire thing. It's about 46 minutes. I'm not going to play the whole 46 minutes, but I'm just going to highlight a couple of points where Cenk is speaking and, the back and forth with some of these, I guess, comments that he had. Let me just play this introduction.
You love the Biden administration, the southern border chaos.
Please let me know that you could hear this video, okay?
Unsurprisingly, Donald Trump's not convinced. In a typically understated fashion, he responded to the border visit by declaring Harris to be mentally impaired and demanding she be prosecuted. But joining me to discuss all this and look forward to the vice presidential debate on Tuesday is the founder and host of the Young Turks, Cenk UNGAR, the commentator Claudia Conway, the founder of Outkick, Clay Travis, and the director of new documentary Vindicating Trump, the conservative commentator Dinesh D'Souza. Welcome to all of you. Well, let me start with you, Clay Travis. The border czar, Kamala Harris, suddenly seems to be remembering what her job was.
I think it's a sign, Piers, of how much she's in trouble, that she went to Arizona, that she has reversed every policy she's basically stood for her entire political career. Remember, this was a woman who, when she was running in 2019, Piers, didn't just say she basically wanted a wide open border. She said that any migrants that were being held in prison should get taxpayer-funded gender reassignment surgery. That is, we should be paying in the United States to make sure that illegal immigrants are able to change their gender. I mean, this was absolute balderdash. This is madness. And I think this issue by itself, in conjunction with over 400,000 criminals, 13,000 convicted murderers, 16,000 rapists all entering this country and starting to wreak havoc all over the citizens of the United States, I think it standing alone is going to cost her Arizona and Nevada. I think she's going to lose Georgia, North Carolina, and it all comes down to whether Trump can win one of the three states, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, or Michigan. I think he can. I think this issue is the single worst, right alongside of the economy, for Kamala and why she doesn't deserve a promotion.
Yeah, I mean, Cenk, the thing I would say, if I was looking at this with no horse in the race, which I don't, despite your frequent attempts to claim that I do, would be that by going there now, it looks like political expediency, but it also reminds everybody just how bad the southern border crisis has been under the Biden administration. It's indisputable. The numbers don't lie. Surely it was a tactical error to suddenly go down there and pretend you really care when you haven't been there in nearly 4 years.
I'm not Richard.
You guys check out his response. This response from Cenk is unreal. He's like living in La La Land. Like you think going to the border now after 4 years you've been in administration is going to be okay, and it's not. And this is unreal.
Against her at all, Piers. You just called her comma chameleon, but okay. So
Well, she
in terms
is.
of the border issue,
That doesn't mean to sound partisan.
all right.
She just is. She is a chameleon.
Okay, sure. All right,
You don't
know
agree?
me, I
Well, hang on. You don't agree with that?
No, I don't.
You don't
Yeah,
think
so,
Kamala? You don't think Kamala
I-
Harris
look,
deserves the title "Karma Chameleon" for repeatedly U-turning on previous positions? Seriously, Cenk? Seriously?
So hold on.
No, you
Sure.
hold on.
First of all,
Answer me.
Piers, I'm not going to agree to your rando nickname for Kamala Harris. What the issue
you not
I
think
brought
she's
up
being
is that
chameleon-like?
hold on. Can I answer the question? I brought up the issue that you're biased against her, and then you proved me right by saying she's a chameleon. Why don't you admit she's a chameleon? Meanwhile, we have a mentally disabled person running against her. But we'll get to that.
This is why he's unhinged. Piers Morgan is correct. Kamala is a chameleon. Like, what else would you call her? I call her fake. So I guess fake is a chameleon. So that's I guess a better descriptive word of Kamala. But she's fake. You know, you do a 360 turn or a 180 turn on your policies of 2019. And now I guess you're a more moderate Democrat. It doesn't make any sense. Now you want to secure the border. And 3 years ago, you was talking about giving transition surgeries to illegal immigrants and people that were in jail on taxpayers' dime. What else would you call her? She's trying to win the vote.
So in terms of the border, look, all of this is silliness. I don't do the usual partisan stuff. So first of all, on immigration, the Biden administration did not do a good job for at least a couple of years in between. The numbers have come back down now. But in putting her as in charge of any portion of the border was Joe Biden throwing her under the bus. They had nothing to do. She had nothing to do because he wouldn't let her. And so I don't think that the Democrats have covered themselves in glory on the issue of immigration. I think going down there for a photo op and just looking at the border is just so meaningless. Every stupid politician does it. It gains them nothing. The media shouldn't feed into that. But finally, I think that people have to admit, look, Kamala Harris came to Donald Trump's position. I'm not thrilled about that, but that's a fact, right? And then Donald Trump said, oh yeah, I don't want my own position, because he wanted to help himself in the election rather than protect you guys. He cares more about himself than the voters every single time. And there is no excuse you guys have for Donald Trump killing his own immigration bill other than his greed and his selfishness and his narcissism.
Dinesh, your response to that. And welcome to Uncensored, by the way.
I think that Kamala Harris going to the border is part of a strategy in which she is relying on the media to do work for her. And here's what I mean. The ordinary American is not happy with the way the country is going. And normally this leads to throw the bums out because the people who are in power are doing a bad job. But the one thing the Democrats have is virtual unanimity in the mainstream media. And so they're counting on a narrative that basically says to the American people, don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your pocketbook. Don't believe the crime that you see in cities. Don't believe the hordes of people swarming across the border, the reports of criminals. Instead, accept this portrait of a new and improved Kamala Harris that we're going to give you, this smoke and mirrors, this Kamala at the border talking tough. So they're counting on this fictional portrait, this movie.
Dinesh is right. This fictional character that they're trying to build. They're building, like Kamala is right now, Build-A-Bear Kamala. They're putting his head on Kamala, her bodies, everything about her is fictional, okay? They want people to believe, they trying to portray Kamala is tough on the border, tough against Putin, tough against, she's going to stand up to our world leaders. This is why matter of fact, the last interview I saw her in, she didn't laugh that much. So she's taking away the laugh because people are probably telling her, hey, you're not, people are not taking you seriously because you're cackling like a hen. But Dinesh is totally correct. They want people to be fooled by this fictional character, this fictional Kamala. Commie Kamala. Somebody put it in the chat. Commie Kamala. Yeah. She's actually a communist.
Movie portrait of Kamala Harris to trump, if I can use that term, the observations and experience of the American people. They're counting on the American people being complete and total suckers.
Okay, Claudia, welcome to Uncensored to you too, two debutantes today. The American people apparently need to be complete suckers to buy into what Kamala Harris is now doing on the border.
Why did no one tell Michigan drivers about this new rule?
If you are currently insured, drive less than...
I think there's some truth to that. I think that immigration is her worst topic, in my opinion. I think that the Biden-Harris administration, what they've done with immigration has been abysmal. And I think that we can't really call her a chameleon. If we're going to call her a chameleon, we have to call Trump a chameleon and J.D. Vance a chameleon and everybody else a chameleon. Because
but I would.
They're all flip-flopping.
But hang on, I would.
Yeah.
Cenk
Exactly.
wasn't smart enough or calm enough to ask me. You have done. So let me just, for the record, I think they're all pretty chameleon-like. Trump has U-turned on many things, right? So is J.D. Vance, not least calling Trump Hitler. So yeah, I think they've all got a chameleon trait. It just so happens, and that Boy George is actually a friend of mine.
That you only named Kamala.
Well, no, because Kamala Chameleon obviously sounds very similar to Karma Chameleon, which was the big Boy George hit with Culture Club. That's why she's called Karma Chameleon.
Yeah.
If Trump was called Kamala Trump, he'd be called Kamala Chameleon because it would go better with the song. That's the only reason she's got the name. But they're all quite chameleon-like, in my opinion. Well, it's true.
Yet conveniently, you found no derogatory nicknames for Donald Trump or J.D. Vance. You just happened to find one for Kamala Harris.
This guy is so crazy. I think throughout the interview, we know we're not going to go through the whole this whole segment. They were arguing so much. I think she actually changed her mind. She's the daughter of, she's a news reporter. She's on Fox. And she has her dad is a Democrat, and her mom is a Republican. and she is, I guess, voting for Kamala Harris because she's totally against Donald Trump. Anyway, let me play this portion. Trump calls Harris mentally impaired.
Slightly insane moments. Let's take a look at some of the stuff that happened at the weekend.
Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. She was born that way. And if you think about it, only a mentally disabled person could have allowed this to happen to our country. Anybody would know this.
I mean, Clay, look, I see Trump for what he is. You know, he talks in this way that it makes people laugh. He's entertaining. He's brutal. He's bombastic. He loves insulting people. Is it a smart move for Trump to be calling Kamala Harris mentally disabled from birth a month before an election where she may end up being president of the United States?
I think it's an effective attack. I think the word choice, as you well know, with Donald Trump is sometimes the bull in the china shop aspect of his entire personality. He is an entertainer. That's at a rally. And I think it has to be taken in that context. But what I think he's getting at, which cuts through and does connect, I think, with a lot of voters, is Joe Biden, clearly, despite all the people on the left trying to claim that he was the best version of himself and behind closed doors, he was sharp as a tack, which was what everybody said up until June 27th, as you well remember. Look, Kamala is not actually able to cite some sort of mental and physical cognitive decline to explain away why she's been wrong on everything. And I think this is important too. Do you remember in 2004? In many ways, George W. Bush won that election because he said John Kerry was for the war in Iraq until he was against it, and they got him on flip-flopping. Your comma chameleon line for Kamala Harris, I mean, just think about this. She now wants to build a border wall. She doesn't want to ban straws. She wants to allow fracking. She now doesn't believe in reparations. Basically, everything Kamala Harris has ever said in her entire political career, up until 2020, she doesn't believe in anymore. And I think that's what's going on here. Look, Kamala's been wrong on every issue. I mean, I would ask anybody who's supporting her, name one thing that Kamala Harris has done really well, such that she deserves a promotion. Piers, on your show, I bet you've had production assistants that got everything wrong. They probably didn't end up the overall producer of the show. That's what Kamala Harris is arguing for.
Yeah, I mean, Cenk, here's the thing, Cenk. I know you're pragmatic. You obviously don't want Trump to win. I sort of feeling you're holding your nose with Kamala Harris. You don't want her to be the Democrat nominee, but she is. Therefore, you kind of, well, she'll have to win because I hate Trump so much. She's not a convincing candidate. I mean, she is a massive flip-flop, but she deserves the chameleon title. Every interview is full of word salad nonsense. You know, with Trump, you kind of know what he is now. He served 4 years. We know him good, bad, and ugly. Kamala Harris does not. She wouldn't inspire me to open a crisp packet. I have to be honest. Now, am I wrong?
Yeah. So, guys, you're looking at it wrong. Of course, I think. So, but let me explain because it's a little bit more complicated. I think that Kamala Harris is a typical politician, and that's not a compliment. I think she's an establishment Democrat, and I think 90% of politicians are establishment Democrats or Republicans. So if you're someone who's on the left or progressive and you think she's going to deliver unicorns and rainbows, no, she's going to deliver for her donors. So then if you're at home, you're saying, oh my God, that means I vote for Trump, right? No. The reason I'm voting for Kamala Harris is because Donald Trump is literally mentally impaired. He's a danger to this country, to our democracy, and that is not just a talking point. He's set to terminate all the rules, regulations, and articles of the Constitution when he didn't win.
Yeah, but he's not going to do that, and you know he's not going to do that. You know that's not what he meant. This is the problem, though. So, guys, when you go after Trump.
So this is the problem, Piers. This is the problem. Whenever we're talking about criticizing Kamala Harris, you guys let me and everybody else go for 20 minutes, and then whenever I say the first thing about Trump, everybody jumps in to cut it off. That's how this thing is so biased. So let me tell you, you want to talk about mental impairment, Come on, guys, it should have been over when he said, let's put disinfectant inside our bodies. He's a very, very dumb man.
He
I
didn't
mean,
say that.
he thinks that clean coal is you take out coal and you scrub it clean. He thinks the F-35 stealth fighter is invisible to the naked eye like Wonder Woman. He took a dementia test and thought it was an IQ test. The other day, he said that the audience in the debate went crazy for him. There was no audience in the debate. The man has significant mental problems. I'm not going to vote for a borderline lunatic. So that's why this conversation is nonsense. A typical politician versus a guy who tried to terminate the Constitution and is a verifiable lunatic. Not a hard question at all.
All right, let me bring in. All right.
Why does he use those type of words like a verifiable lunatic? He's a dumb person, like someone that amassed his wealth, such as, you know, his real estate dealings, even his different companies. And people mention, oh, he's filed for bankruptcy about 6 or 7 times. Well, the man's been alive for 80 years. And if you are a business person and you actually take risks, there's some risks that you might not recover from. So I can't fault a person for filing bankruptcy because of some type of business that the deal didn't end up in a profit. I don't fault him from that. But for him to say, oh, he's a lunatic, I don't see that. Yeah, you don't jive with Donald Trump because he does say things like Kamala Harris been mentally impaired since birth. That was a joke. Okay? That was a joke. So, but you're taking it so personal, and you could tell he hates Donald Trump so much that he's gonna say these things, and he's getting wound up right now. So they're talking about vindicating Donald Trump on January 6th. This is where he flies off the handle.
Are you living paycheck to paycheck and can't seem to get ahead? In this brief video, I will show you how to tap into an
means necessary.
Well, I don't know if I have that power. I'm not sure I want that power. I want the power just to make the country better.
I mean, Cenk, that would be my point, which is if Trump was going to do all the things you claim he's going to do, he'd have done them.
Yeah, but he did. It's you guys pervert reality in a way that is amazing. You pretend that he.
Can you stop saying you guys?
Can I?
Dinesh has just said that.
You just did it, Piers. How do I not
what?
include you when you just did it?
I literally
so
said.
Can I answer the question?
You said that Trump wants to undo every part of the Constitution. I'm telling you that is completely insane for you to say that. Utterly nonsense.
You're insane.
He's never going to do it.
Lunatic.
He's not going to do it. You know it. I know it.
Okay, guys, let me just address the audience. Okay, these guys are trying to brainwash you into forgetting the things that Donald Trump actually did. He actually did January 6th. They actually did rush the Capitol. They did get inside the Capitol. People did die. He did say, let's terminate the Constitution when he didn't win. He did have a 3-hour meeting about installing martial law and rolling out the tanks. Everyone in his administration said they would resign immediately if he did that, which General Michael Flynn suggested. He actually, when his chief of staff said, your fans are looking to murder your vice president, he said he deserves it. So you guys are pretending he didn't do these monstrous things, which he already did.
Actually,
and
Cenk,
Piers, if you ask me why I'll never vote for Trump, because he hates America, and he already proved it. When he lost, he said, my government, I'm going to smash it to pieces if I can't have it, because he's a spoiled little baby. You're pretending like it didn't happen when it already happened.
Had you...
What is wrong with this guy? I don't know. I don't have any words. Like, you hate he's saying the January 6th was caused by Donald Trump. After Donald Trump said, hey, you know, you can meet me at the Capitol for the speech peacefully, and those people did. And, you know, you can't control what everybody does. After his speech, he got onto his I don't know if it was Twitter or made an announcement, hey, you need to go home. This is enough. Okay, we could say this about the BLM riots, but nobody said, okay, this is enough. Let's go home to the BLM rioters. You just had your girl Kamala Harris raising money for the people that were arrested during the riots. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Had you read or heard anything I wrote or said about January the 6th, you know exactly how I feel about it. But you
Then why
haven't.
did you just pretend that it didn't happen?
No, I didn't.
You're like, well, he didn't do it. He did do it.
Well, the arguable point, which needs to be argued in the court of law, is whether he inspired an insurrection, right? He vehemently denies that. You say he did. And it is an argument.
He didn't inspire an insurrection either, you guys. Okay, maybe he said, meet me at the Capitol, but I think insurrection is a strong word, because when you insurrection, a violent uprising, usually against an authority or government figure, and usually when you having an uprising, a rebellion, a revolt, what do we have? What do we have that other people, other countries don't have? We have the Second Amendment. So if we're going to uprise, literally, if you really think about it, if the American people really want to uprise against the government, all we need to do is coordinate, get our weapons, and cause an uprising. But they didn't do that. You just had some people with some flags and some sticks getting crazy, climbing over the buildings and stuff, scaling the wall. You had people scaling the walls. But if you really think about it, if there was an insurrection and a uprising against the federal government or the government, they have weapons. So if we really want to do this and take them to take us seriously, we have to come with our guns too. Correct? So that's why I don't agree with the term of insurrection. I really don't agree with that. But if we're going to use that term in that definition of insurrection against the government, why wouldn't insurrection be placed on the rioters for when they burned down the whole police station? Isn't that part of the government, local government? Would that be considered an insurrection? Or when you have, there were, I guess, an uprising against, I don't know if they took to the street in New York in front of that consulate, the Turkey consulate. You guys let me know if I'm going in the wrong direction, but if you want to actually a violent uprising against the government, we're not in a third world country. We're not in the countries where we don't have weapons. If we really want to have a violent uprising, we will bring our weapons. Right? Why leave your weapons at home? We'll bring them. It will be a totally different. And they use the word stage a coup. How can you stage a coup if you don't have any weapons? What type of force are you using? We're not ninjas. They was just regular, everyday people.
I know. Back
there was
to
clearly a riot at the Capitol.
Don't see that giant riot. Don't see him not calling them off. He didn't call them off, Piers,
there was a shameful riot at the Capitol that was violent and should never have happened. And I've said that repeatedly. On that, I totally agree with you. Clay Travis.
But now you're back to the insurrectionists and supporting them.
Well, I'm going to come
so
to
they can do
Claudia
it
in a
again
moment.
and again and again.
Claudia, I'll come to you in a moment. Clay, part of the problem with talking to people like Cenk, I love having you on, a lot of passion, lot of verve, and so on. But once he gets talking about Trump, he literally goes mad every single time. He sounds like
nuts.
he sounds
Totally
like the very
nuts.
lunatic he's talking about.
America, Trump already tried
Sorry,
a
your
coup.
name isn't.
He had-
Trump or Harris?
You hear it. Trump already tried a coup. No, if Trump wanted to try a coup, and like Dinesh, when he interviewed, he said, hey, you have a lot of power. You could cause this and this. He said, I don't want to do that. I don't want that type of power. Even if I have it, I'm trying to make America a better place. And I actually believe what Donald Trump is saying. Because why in the world would you take a job? You live in this lavish life. Well into when he took over, he was just hitting 70s. So you could just be on your golf course somewhere or one of your golf courses somewhere and golfing, living a plush life. But you decided to get into politics and you don't take any salary. Oh, and some people say, oh, he wanted the power. Well, he already has it. He has the power. You can see Kamala Harris already is blaming him from stopping the border bill. He already had that power. And people are getting mad and upset with him because he has that type of power. And all he is trying to do is make America great. And why are you getting mad about that? Because reason why he's getting mad, reason why they're getting mad, Cenk and all these other people are getting mad. And I wouldn't say Cenk just brainwashed at this point, and this other lady, they're pretty brainwashed. They've been he's part of the little liberal media and they tell them what to say. But they literally are brainwashed. But you know, when we're talking about the establishment, the deep state, Trump goes against every single thing against government. He's not a regular politician. He's not beholden to anyone. He do what the hell he wants to do. You could call him, oh, he's simple, he's a lunatic, he's crazy, he's wild, he's all these things. But you cannot call him, he's not being dishonest. He's going to tell you what he's feeling. I mean, what more? And like I said, I believe he really holds America towards his heart. He's actually putting America and Americans first. But this is not this with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and all those other people. They want a war. They want Ukraine to fund their war. You see, Kamala Harris was with Zelensky the other day, and she's trying to act like she's a strong and proud leader and saying we're standing with Ukraine no matter what and all that crazy stuff. They want a war. They want our troops to be fighting something that we don't need to be fighting in, or Americans spending their money on stuff that we don't need to spend our money on. And we're in dire straits in our own country. Our people are suffering.
I am
the question at Clay.
Pretending he's normal.
Jilted girlfriend who's been cast aside. Look, let me say two things that are important here.
From who?
One, pre-COVID.
I don't like any of them.
Let's go to early February 2020. I appreciate that, actually, because there are a lot of awful, dumb politicians. We can agree on that. And in fact, there's way too many all over the world, especially in America. But let me start with this. February 2020. Before, in my opinion, COVID leaked from a Chinese lab, which, by the way, you weren't even allowed to say because the Biden administration tried to censor everybody on social media. And now suddenly everybody's aware that that's the most likely outcome.
Although Clay, hang on one sec. On that one point, the biggest study was released quite recently, which did seem to suggest that the most likely cause actually was from the wet market. Just for the record, that was the biggest independent study.
I completely disagree with that theory, but let's put that aside for a minute. February of 2020, the United States had 1.4-ish% inflation. We had 2.5% mortgages. Black, white, Asian, and Hispanic real wages were up. It is the case that the American economy had never been stronger since we whipped Pierce's boys back in the good old Revolutionary War and became an independent country. Never had more people been living in a better manner than in February of 2020. Second part, okay, so a lot of people are looking at this and saying this is an economics election. Trump had the greatest American economy of all time. Everybody was doing better. I think that's why so many people are yearning for that era in many ways. Second part of this, I agree with both of you. January 6th, when people riot, whether they're Republicans, Democrats, or independents, there should be consequences and they should be prosecuted. Here's the problem. For 6 months, BLM effectively took over much of American cities and virtually nothing happened to them. Kamala Harris, the tweet is still up, raised money for the people who were burning down Minneapolis to bail them out. She argued we needed to defund the police. Many people out there who are reasonable, that are not MAGA diehards, that are not Donald Trump absolute adherents, look at the way that our government responded to January 6th when Trump said, I want you to peacefully and patriotically go to the Capitol, which always gets left out. They look at the way that January 6th rioters have been treated, and they say, wait a minute, what about all the people who took over Seattle, Portland, Minneapolis, Chicago, New York City, Atlanta, all over the United States, cities burned, and almost no one took any consequences for it at all. What we have to get back to, in my opinion, in the United States, and what I believe the Biden administration has done really poorly, is they have weaponized the Department of Justice against anyone with a different political persuasion. Piers, you mentioned it. When Trump could have gone after Hillary Clinton, he said, I won the election, I'm not going to do it. When Biden got into office, he used Merrick Garland as his attack dog, and they tried to not only bankrupt Trump, they tried to put him in jail for the rest of his life, and in comparing him to Hitler, they allowed everybody free rein to believe that they would be a hero if they killed him. And oh, by the way, they don't even believe that, because every time somebody shoots at Donald Trump or tries to kill him, Kamala gets on the phone and Biden gets on the phone and they say, hey, are you okay? We deploy.
Anyone with 10,000.
Yeah, are you okay? We don't stand against violence. And Cenk, he is going to respond to this. I totally agree with what he was saying, or he's saying, that, yeah, you're blaming January 6th on Donald Trump, but you're taking out certain parts of his tweets or whatever he said, and then you are saying January 6th rioters have to be responsible for what they are doing. But you don't hold anybody accountable for the riots that happened during the BLM riots. Now, I would agree to call January 6th a riot. I would say that was a riot. I would not call it an insurrection. I would not call it a coup.
Let me come to Claudia.
30%, according to a poll of Democrats, 30% of Democrats said they wished that Donald Trump had been assassinated.
And Cenk is one of them.
41% of Republicans said it's time for political violence. Republicans openly have been talking about Second Amendment remedies for people that they disagree with. They've been egging on violence. Donald Trump laughed about how Nancy Pelosi's husband was smashed in with a hammer. So the right wing loves violence. And the minute that it touches Donald Trump, you guys go, oh my God, it turns out violence is bad.
Let me ask Cenk. I thought Clay raised a very good point there about the utter hypocrisy between the Democrat view of January 6th and the Democrat view of the BLM riots. Either you oppose rioting full stop, or you don't. And the way that the rioters for BLM throughout that period were treated compared to the January 6th rioters was clearly demonstrably different, wasn't it? So why? My question is why?
No,
why were they
it
treated
wasn't.
differently?
Okay, no, let me explain a couple of things. So first of all, yeah, I agree that we need to be absolutely consistent. So sometimes people will lump in two different groups of people on January 6th. There's the people who went and, the much larger crowd that went and spoke, that watched Donald Trump speak on January 6th. Most of those people did not go to riot at the Capitol. Then there's the people who rioted. So whenever it reaches the people who just listened to the speech, I go, whoa, 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 whoa. No, they just showed up to listen to his speech. They didn't do anything wrong. But when you go and you smash into the Capitol looking to murder Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi, obviously you've done something massively wrong. Now, when it comes to the BLM situation, the original protests were like the original people listening to Donald Trump. They came out because they were deeply concerned about the injustice against African Americans in this country, and they were right. Then at some point, a smaller group of people committed violence. Police went to go arrest those people, and they should. Of course they should. The one problem that I thought persisted after that initial outburst was some parts of like Portland and Seattle were taken over, and the police let them do that for some period of time, and that was nuts. And so that's when
This is why he's being disingenuous. You're saying, hey, you know, these small portion of people is they caused the riot, which I agree what he's saying. But why are you saying Donald Trump caused the riot? Why are you even putting that out in the atmosphere? Yeah, you just admitted Donald Trump said, come and hear me speak. And those portion, the largest portion of people actually came to hear Donald Trump speak. He didn't tell them go march the Capitol and take over the Capitol. No, he didn't. Even someone put it in the chat. Nancy Pelosi, he contacted Nancy Pelosi, what, two to 3 days before, saying, hey, I think we should have the National Guard. And she declined the offer. And then later on, we saw the video saying, yeah, I take total responsibility for this because I should have took care of it. I should have had the National Guard there, which you should have. Trump already knew what was going to happen. And they didn't take him serious. They wanted this to happen. If you go back to the videos, and matter of fact, I think Benny Johnson, he did a great job. They have videos of somebody putting a pipe bomb in one of the locations where Kamala was at. It was at another place where, you know, they do their government offices are at. And then they just saw this random guy sit at the bench and put this pipe bomb at. And then Kamala Harris, number one, she lied. She said she was at the Capitol at that time, but that was incorrect. She was there at 11 o'clock and left. She was at some other building. So she lied about that. And then number two, they know that this was a planned attack because all the people that they prosecuted, even the Proud Boys, some of the guys that they prosecuted, they wasn't even there at January 6th. And then you gave them 20 odd years, something really ridiculous. But all the BLM rioters, you didn't give them shit. And that lasted for months. January 6th lasted for a few hours. BLM was $1 billion destruction, and it lasted for about 6 months. And you're trying to actually compare the two. It doesn't even compare. Anyway, I think he's full of shit. He's being very disingenuous. This guy is Nancy fault. She had control to call in more troops and refused. Exactly. And I don't understand why any media gives Cenk the time of the day. Never mind what want to hear his rhetoric. Oh, good job. Larry Huddleston, no election because war will be declared. The girl keeps trying to get cleavage on the camera. Yeah. Must have an OnlyFans channel. And what makes her authority on anything? Her parents. Yeah. I think she probably has a huge following. And I think her parents, I still can't, it's not Laura Ingraham. What's the other lady that interviewed Donald Trump? That's on Fox. I'll know when I see her name. I can't think of her name, but she's blonde. She's a blonde lady. She interviewed Kellyanne Conway. That's her mom. Kellyanne Conway is her mom. And her dad, she's married to George. No, I think she's married to somebody else. It says George T. Conway. No, I thought she was married to somebody else. But anyway, Kellyanne Conway is her dad. I mean, it's her mom. Okay, you guys, that was it for today. I'm not gonna. This is a 45-minute interview. What I'll do is put the link in the description section. And you guys, if you want to, yeah, Kellyanne Conway. If you guys want to view the whole entire interview, you can, do it on your time. I'm going to try to come online tonight and stream the debate. Okay, it starts at 9 p.m. Central. I'll set my notifications up I'll try to get online about 15 minutes prior, and you guys stay tuned, but I'll put a notification out early if I'll be online. Okay, so I really appreciate every single last one of you. You guys have a wonderful evening, and I'm sending all my good to you. I will talk to you tomorrow.